It was late evening when Daniel closed the diner door behind him, his hands rough from another long day washing dishes. He was used to exhaustion by now. Life as a single dad didn't allow much rest. His 7-year-old daughter, Lily, waited for him at their small rented apartment, always greeting him with a tired but hopeful smile. "Daddy, did you bring the strawberry milk?" she asked every night, and he always did, even if it meant skipping his own dinner. He'd learned to stretch every dollar after losing his wife 3 years ago. Life had been cruel, but Lily gave him purpose. That night, as he walked home through the drizzle, he saw a black luxury car parked outside his building, a rare sight in his rundown neighborhood. A woman in a sharp gray suit stood beside it, arguing quietly on her phone. Her face was pale, but her presence screamed power. Daniel walked past her, but she suddenly turned and said, "Excuse me, are you Daniel Miller?" He froze. "Yeah, who's asking?" She took off her sunglasses, revealing piercing blue eyes filled with tension. "I'm Victoria Lane, CEO of Lane Industries." He blinked. Everyone knew her name. She was one of the most influential businesswomen in the city, cold, intimidating, and impossibly rich. What could she possibly want from a man like him? "I need to talk to you," she said. "It's urgent." Daniel's instincts flared. "Ma'am, I think you've got the wrong guy." "I'm sure I don't," she sighed, glancing around at the cracked walls and flickering streetlights. "Please, just 5 minutes. Somewhere private." He hesitated. Lily's bedtime was coming up, but curiosity won. He nodded, leading her upstairs. Inside, the apartment was small but neat. Lily's drawings hung proudly on the fridge, and the smell of macaroni filled the air. Victoria looked uncomfortable, like she'd stepped into another world entirely. Lily peeked from behind the curtain. "Daddy, who's that lady?" Victoria softened slightly. "I'm a friend of your father's," she said gently. After Lily went to her room, Victoria took a deep breath and said, "Daniel, I'm going to be honest. I need your help." "Help?" He frowned. "With what?" She hesitated, then said something that made his jaw drop. "I need you to pretend to be my husband." He laughed, thinking it was a joke. But her expression didn't change. "I'm serious," she said. "My company's board is pushing for my removal. They think I'm unstable, too cold, too focused on work. The media's been spreading rumors about me being incapable of balancing family life. Tomorrow, I have to attend a major investors' dinner, and they expect to meet my husband." Daniel stared at her. "And you want me to, what? Show up pretending we're married?" "Yes." He shook his head. "Ma'am, I think you're desperate enough to ask the wrong man. I wash dishes for a living." "I know," she replied. "That's why I came to you." Her voice was steady but her eyes betrayed something deeper, fear, maybe even shame. "You're honest, ordinary, unconnected to anyone in my world. That's what I need. Someone real. Someone who won't sell my secret." Daniel crossed his arms. "And what's in it for me?" She reached into her purse and slid an envelope across the table. $50,000. Half now, half after tomorrow. The number hit him like a punch. That money could change everything. He could move Lily out of this crumbling building, pay off his debts, maybe even give her a better school. But something inside him resisted. "Money's not the problem," he said finally. "If you want me to pretend to be your husband, I'll do it, but on one condition." Victoria raised an eyebrow. "Which is, that you tell me the truth. The real reason you can't ask anyone from your own world." For the first time, she looked vulnerable. Her gaze drifted toward the window, where rain streaked the glass. "Because," she whispered, "everyone in my world already betrayed me." She told him everything. How her ex-fiancé had sold company secrets, how her board members were plotting to push her out, and how tomorrow's dinner would decide her future. She needed to look strong, grounded, and in love. He listened quietly, feeling a strange pull in his chest. Beneath her polished exterior was someone desperate to be believed, to be seen as more than a machine in heels. "All right," Daniel said finally. "I'll help you, but for Lily's sake, I can't let this turn ugly." "It won't," she promised. The next evening, a black car came to pick them up. Victoria had sent him a suit, tailored perfectly, like she'd known his size without asking. When Lily saw him, she gasped. "Daddy, you look like a prince." He smiled and hugged her. "Just for one night, sweetheart." At the hotel ballroom, chandeliers sparkled like stars. Cameras flashed as they entered arm in arm. Victoria's hand trembled slightly in his, but her smile never wavered. "Mr. and Mrs. Lane," someone greeted cheerfully. Daniel squeezed her hand reassuringly. Play along, he whispered. To everyone's surprise, he fit right in. His natural warmth disarmed people. When investors asked about their marriage, he spoke with sincerity that even Victoria found hard to fake. She's the most hardworking woman I've ever known, he said during a toast. She doesn't just run a company, she builds people up. The guests were charmed. For the first time in years, Victoria laughed genuinely. For a few hours, she forgot the cameras, the lies, the fear. She just existed beside a man who treated her like a person, not a brand. But as the night ended, one of her board members, an older man named Gregory Shaw, cornered them. Impressive act, Victoria, he sneered. But you can't fool us forever. We'll find out who this man really is. Daniel stepped forward. You already have, he said calmly. I'm the man who stood by her when no one else did. Gregory frowned. You think you can protect her? Daniel's voice hardened. I don't need to. She can protect herself. But tonight, she's not alone. That moment silenced the room. Even Gregory walked away muttering. After the event, as they sat in the car, Victoria looked at Daniel and said softly, you didn't have to do that. I know, he replied. But you needed someone to remind them you're human. She smiled faintly. You're different, Daniel. Most men I've met want something from me. You don't. He shrugged. Maybe I already have everything I need. There was silence for a while before she asked, and your condition? You said one condition only. What happens now? He looked out the window at the passing city lights. My condition still stands. Always tell me the truth. Victoria nodded slowly. Then here's the truth. I don't want this to end. Daniel turned to her, startled. What do you mean? She met his gaze with sincerity. For one night, I felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. Belonging. I don't want to lose that. He hesitated. Victoria, I'm just a single dad. I'm not part of your world. Maybe that's exactly why I need you, she whispered. Over the next few weeks, rumors spread of Victoria's mysterious husband who had charmed everyone at the event. The board backed off, and her company's image soared. But for her, the public victory mattered less than the private calm she found in Daniel's company. She began visiting him and Lily often, sometimes bringing expensive toys, other times just sharing dinner at their tiny kitchen table. At first, it felt strange, but slowly, they built something real. One evening, while helping Lily with her homework, Victoria laughed at a joke Daniel made. The sound filled the small apartment, warm and alive. It was a sound she hadn't heard from herself in years. But soon, reality returned. Gregory Shaw hired a private investigator, determined to expose the fake marriage. When Victoria heard, she panicked. If they find out, everything falls apart, she said. Daniel looked at her calmly. Then let them. I'm done pretending. She blinked. You mean? He took her hand. You came to me asking for a husband. I think it's time you get a real one. For once, the unshakable CEO was speechless. Her eyes filled with tears she didn't bother to hide. Daniel, are you serious? As serious as the day I promised Lily I'd never lie to her. You don't need a fake story anymore. You just need someone who actually cares. The next morning, when reporters arrived to question them, Victoria faced them head-on. Yes, she said confidently, Daniel Miller and I started as an arrangement. But somewhere between pretending and protecting, I realized what I'd been missing all along, a heart worth trusting. The cameras flashed, but this time she didn't flinch. She took Daniel's hand and added softly, and I don't intend to let him go. Months later, the apartment was replaced by a modest house with a garden Lily loved. Victoria had scaled back her work hours, spending evenings cooking with them. Daniel still worked part-time. She offered him a job in her company, but he declined. I'm not built for boardrooms, he said with a grin. But I can build you a fence. Sometimes she'd watch him play with Lily in the yard, his laughter echoing through the air, and she'd think back to that night in the rain, the night she'd begged a stranger for help. He'd asked for one thing only, the truth. And somehow, that truth became love. It wasn't a fairy tale with castles or crowns. It was something simpler, something stronger, a love that grew from honesty, healing, and hope. And whenever people asked Victoria about her husband, she'd smile and say, he's not who I expected. He's everything I needed.